so excited to introduce you to Adrienne. She is a member of our design team and will be teaching you guys all about floral line drawing using our mono drawing pens. Make sure that you say hello in the chat. We'd love to see where you guys are coming from today. We've got someone from DC, New Jersey, Kentucky, all over the place. So this class is going to be a little bit different if you're used to taking these Michael's classes. We have a chat option as well as a Q&A. If you could please only use the Q&A for actual questions and then the chat for regular just chatting back and forth, that would be fantastic. That'll help us to make sure that we're actually getting your questions answered. If you don't get an answer to your question immediately, try asking it again. There's going to be a lot of people in this class, so don't be afraid to ask it twice. Again, for those of you who are just joining, this is Adrienne. She's going to be your teacher today. She's a member of the Tombow design team, and she's going to talk all about how to do floral line drawing using our mono drawing pens. So Adrienne, I'm gonna go ahead and hand things over to you.
Awesome. Well, I am just shocked to see so many comments and so many people in here. And I'm excited to be here. I'm coming to you from Utah. And just to tell you a little bit about myself, I love all kinds of art. I love illustration and lettering and watercolor, and today I'm going to be showing you a little bit how to do some floral illustration. I have always loved art since I was little. I'm sure like many of you, you love drawing, and I have 4 little boys that I take care of most of my time. Most of my day takes up that. And then I get a chance to do some art on the side to kind of fill that creative side that I need to stay a little bit sane. So I love seeing where you guys are all from. If you want, will you tell me your age so I know kind of what my audience is? Are we looking more at teens, or are we kind of, okay, awesome. So we have a wide range of ages. It's going fast, but I think I got it. Okay, so I'm going to kind of do like an overall generic, just illustration class. So I went out first. First thing I always like to tell people when they're drawing illustration, floral illustration, is to draw from a physical object. So I went out today and I got some fresh flowers. I have a sunflower and a rose. I think these are gardenias. And then I have some greenery as well. So it's always helpful to draw from a physical object because you kind of get the option to kind of move your flower around and play with perspective. So most times, if I were to ask you to draw a flower from memory, or anyone, here is most likely what the general flower would look like, right? You've got your center with your 5 petals. Maybe you have like a flower, or sorry, a leaf in there. Let's see. And it's kind of just, you're looking at it head on, and they all kind of look like this. Okay, let's see. I'm going to try and lower this down so you can see just a little bit better. Is that a little bit better? Okay. So this is just kind of your generic flower, right? It's got the center with the 5 petals, but very rarely in nature do you see a flower that looks like that, right? So we have our center here and we've got tons of different petals going around The rose has lots of different petals that come out. Even in these, right? Very rarely does that occur really in nature. So when you have a physical object you can look at, you can kind of turn your flower this way, you can turn it this way, and you really get those different angles of what a real flower would look like, even if it's going up like that. Okay. Or maybe it's pointing down. So if you have, let's see, I have my bouquet here if we want to change. So if you have a bouquet of flowers, there we go. Not all the flowers are going to be facing directly to you. Maybe this little guy right here, and this is a green piece, is the only piece that's going to be facing you, and see how the perspective just shortens it. So you can't even tell that it's like a long piece. This flower is facing this way. This rose right here is facing this way. Hydrangea is pointing up, right? So when we want to draw flowers, we want to look at the different perspectives that we have so we can draw at different angles. Even if you drew the flowers this way, right? Maybe this little guy is the only one that is pointing to you. It's kind of pointing up and out. This one's kind of pointing that way. Okay, so when we draw flowers, we're going to be using different perspectives to draw them, and it's not going to be what we think in our minds, okay? Even if I saw someone comment they're using fake flowers, you can totally use fake flowers. It's the same idea, right? This flower's pointing this way, this one's pointing that way, this one's kind of coming out. So when you get that perspective in there, you get a little bit more realistic illustration of what those flowers are going to look like. Okay, so you can totally use fake flowers. I used a fake flower yesterday too. I used this one to make a illustration. Okay, so if you have your, let's see, your drawing tools, I'll go over what we're gonna need today. We have mono drawing pens in the 01, 03, and 05. You're gonna need a pencil. This is just a 2B pencil. It's the Tombow mono drawing pen. Sorry, mono drawing pencil. And then just an eraser. This is the mono eraser. It's a really great eraser because it's soft and it really erases all of those pencil marks that we're gonna make. So to warm up a little bit, we're gonna do some drills. Let's start with our pencil. So I always like to, unless you're like a pro, and I'm not even at the pro, I always draw my florals with my pencil first. So when you're drawing with your pencil, I like to kind of hold it down here with my thumb and forefingers. I'm gonna hold it underneath my hand. And just to get some practice in there with your hand, I just like to start out by drawing some big loops with my hand, just so you get a feel of what that pencil looks like. And the reason why I hold my pencil like this is because you're able to move your hand easily, more easily across the page than you would if you were to just hold it regular. Like when you're writing, it's harder to move your hand, but if you're holding it like this, you can use your whole arm to move across the page. So it's a little bit easier when you want to sketch something. Let's see. What else I'm gonna do to warm up is I'm gonna just take my pencil and I'm just gonna make little jagged lines like this. And I'm focusing on shape, and I don't want it to be like this where it's perfectly circle. I want to get some different shapes in there and practice moving my pencil in different ways. A lot of people, when they start out, they say, my hands are just so shaky, I can't draw or letter because my hands are really shaky. Well, in floral illustration and floral drawing, shakiness is kind of your friend, because no flower in real life has these straight lines like this, okay? It looks a lot better if you have more of a kind of a bumpy line, okay? So even if your hands are shaky, that's totally fine. You can still do this. I actually had, it does feel weird holding your pencil like this, I will say that. But the more that you practice, the more you'll get used to it. I actually had carpal tunnel all last year and the year before that, and I actually just had surgery. And when I had carpal tunnel, my hands would shake really bad because as I was trying to focus my hands, I would just get really, really shaky lines. But I actually learned to embrace it and to love it because it helped my flowers look even more realistic because like I said, nothing in nature has a straight line. Okay. So next with warm-ups, let's see. Okay, so we're gonna practice now is a swish, kind of a swish, and you can hold your pencil like this when you do it, because it's harder to do a swish like this. So when you're doing your swish marks, you're starting at the left and you're just flicking out your pencil like this. And the goal here is to get a broad line right here that tapers off at the end right there, okay? And when we do these swish marks, these are gonna be practicing for shading and for adding those detail lines in our florals that we're gonna do later. We're also gonna practice this with our pens, but it's a really great practice to do with your pencil as well. So you're starting on the left and you're just kind of swishing it, letting your pencil come off the page. What you don't want is to just draw a straight, even line all the way across, okay? Because that's a little boring when we're drawing floral illustrations. Okay, we want natural flicks that look like that, okay? You can also practice with your pencil. You can do values. So you can start really, really, really dark. And you can go lighter across as you get to the other side of your page, okay? If you're doing all, let me see if I have, if you're doing an all pencil drawing, like I did a peony, this is all pencil. So I had to practice different ways that I was pressuring my pencil to get these really dark lines right here. And I had some shading in here, but as you go out the petals, it gets lighter. So you have to practice, you have to push really lightly on your page. So that's why I like practicing values. It just gets your hand in the practice of pushing really hard and then pushing less and less so you get a lighter line as you're going out. And the idea when you practice values is you want a nice even gradient all the way down. So it goes from light to dark pretty evenly. There's no big jump from that, okay? All right, so there are our pencil warm-ups. Now we're gonna move on to our pen warm-ups. And that is what these look like. So if you have a monoline pen, let's start with kind of just the 03, the one that's in the middle, slightly on the edge, the smaller side. Okay, so we're gonna draw 3 boxes. With our pen. You can do this with any pen as well. It's going to be hard to do this with a pencil, so I'd recommend getting a pen. Okay, so the first one we're going to do is we're going to practice our stipple. This is going to be our hatch, and this is going to be our cross hatch. So this, we're going to use these for shading and for adding detail into our flowers. So when we stipple, the idea is that you can pick either top down, we're going to add shadows by just using little dots. So I'm going to start in the top left-hand corner, and this is where I'm going to have the most dots. I'll try to show you as I'm doing it. So it's going to be really concentrated up here, And then as I go out, the dots are going to disperse a little bit to give the effect that it's lighter. And the reason why we do this is because I can't practice values with a pen, right? I can't push less hard and get a lighter color like my pencil can. So when we shade with our pens, we have to use different methods of shading, either by stippling, hatching, or cross hatching, to add in those values to get light and dark colors. So for example, going back to this page, I use some hatching right here. Let me hold that up to see if I can. I use a mixture of hatching and stippling. And then down here on the stem, I used cross hatching. So I had both sides. So you can use a mixture of all of these when you're doing floral illustration, and use a mixture, it'll kind of help hide it a little bit. So just like with the values, we're gonna add the darkest color. And this is just by making small, tiny little dots. We're gonna add the darkest down here, and then we're gonna disperse the dots as we're going out. And it's always easier to add more dots than it is to take away dots, obviously. So I used to, like I showed you before, I just did a general layer of dots dispersed, and then I go back in and I add more dots where it needs to be that gradient, right? We don't want a large difference between these two values. We want a nice gradient to show shadow.
Hey, Adrienne.
Yes.
Real quick, are you able to see if you have any other apps open on your phone that's top down? Somebody mentioned that in a previous class, someone was able to get better connection when they logged out of all their other apps that were open.
Okay, let me look.
While we're waiting, do people want to put in the chat what their favorite flower is? Oh, we've got sunflowers, roses, orchids, peonies, dahlias, hibiscus, tulips. Tulips are my favorite. Hydrangeas. Oh, yeah. That looks better, Adrienne.
That better? Okay.
Yep.
Yay.
All right, I think we're good.
Okay. So hopefully you can see that a little better. See how it's the darkest over in this corner right here? And as I come over to this corner, it gets lighter. So, and we do this only by adding dots, okay? Only stippling. And I'm holding my pen like this, like I would writing. Okay. So that is stippling. For hatching, we're just going to be using one set of lines. And this is where that flick is going to come in. So if you want to practice your flicks with your pen, you're going to start on the left and flick out to the right. And again, we want that tapered line at the end. What we don't want is one solid line all the way across, okay? That's just too heavy, and it's going to make our flowers look really just heavy. But if we use softer lines and flick them out instead, it'll help soften that flower up a little bit, okay? So as I'll start in the left-hand side again, and the goal here is to make this corner dark and this corner light. So as I'm coming down here, I'm just gonna flick it down like that, and I'm just gonna add parallel lines that are going in the opposite corner. And the goal is that you have all those tapered lines at the end. Okay. Going through. You can even add more smaller ones to fill in that white area. Okay, so this is how we shade with pens when we're drawing florals. Okay? All right, cross hatching is the same thing as hatching, only when we hatch, we go from one direction. When we cross hatch, we're going to be going from two different directions. So I'm going to do the same cross hatch down on this side. With that same flicking motion. And then on this side, I'm going to do the cross hatch. Using that same motion. This will get you a much darker shadow or shade. That's why I did it on the underside of that stem that I was working on, because that's where my largest shadow was. Okay, does that make sense? So we have stippling, those are just little dots. We have hatching, which is just line shading, going from one direction to the other as you are flicking your pen. And then we have cross hatching, so that goes in two different directions. It makes a cross, so that's kind of the easiest way to remember that. It just crosses. Okay, so when I talked about perspective a little bit earlier, we look at different flowers differently. If we have anyone new, I'll kind of go over it again. So when we have perspective, mostly when we draw flowers, we draw them kind of straight on like this, right? But really, flowers go in all different directions. So it could face that way, it could face up to the left, it could face up. So based on what direction your flower is facing, so if I'm going this way, that center is almost like a perfect circle, right? But if I change the direction, my circle becomes more of an oval with longer sides on this side and more of a point at the top and the bottom. And you also can't even see the full circle, right? So the petals are coming up into that circle and hiding that center of the circle. If I angle it up like this, that's more of an oval as well, where the top and the bottom have longer sides than the right and the left side. Again, the petals are covering up that bottom part of the circle, so we're not able to see the full circle. Does that make sense? Okay, same thing on that way. And if you notice, when my sunflowers pointed in different directions, my petals that are on this side look shorter, okay? I'm not gonna be drawing big, long petals like on this side. Say, for example, this petal right here, all I'm drawing is that one little triangle to draw that petal, and it gives the perspective that it's coming at you and that it's kind of angling down. Okay, some petals you can hardly see. Let me see, like this one, right? And then as we come back up, the petals get longer. They kind of get shorter right here to show that it's going away from you. And same thing over here. We get longer, a little bit shorter, and then longer as we come to this side. Okay, that's why it's always helpful to draw flowers either from a physical object. It can be real flowers or they can be fake flowers. It's just up to you. When we're looking at these flowers, if we're looking at it from this angle, we don't even see the center part of that flower, right? We see the base right here, that green part. So just based on different ways that you're looking at the flower, that is how we're gonna draw it. So when we're drawing flowers, we're mostly drawing shapes, okay? So when I say petal, we think of that one little kind of circle, right? And I want you to kind of forget this shape of like the perfect circle petal. Sometimes petals will be up, Sometimes they'll be smaller like this. Okay, so we're gonna focus on what shape we're looking at versus just drawing an actual flower. Okay, so when we're doing more exercises or warm-ups, we're gonna do more big squiggly loops like that. And I also wanna do more warm-ups of just making those squiggly lines. So just make like an interesting line. It's got some squiggles. It's not perfectly round like this. It's got some character to it. You can practice just making interesting lines that kind of curve and loop. And this will help you when it comes to drawing different shapes of flowers. We're going to look for those bumps and notches in the petals to draw our petals. Okay? Let me see if I have anything else that I practice. Okay, nope, that's it. So once we've got the swish down, that's really all we need. And when you do draw those lines, normally you can draw them a little slower and then just have flicks like that. Now also, when we're combining these different shading methods, we're gonna combine two into one. So maybe it looks like we have a line, bumpy line right here with some dots in the middle, and then it kind of tapers off the edge, okay? That's a much more interesting line than just one solid straight line all the way across. So when I'm drawing, my palm is on the paper just to help steady my hand. And then I move my hand across the page. So yeah, good question. So this pen I'm using is a 03 mono drawing pen. It's kind of on the smaller side. When I do florals, I do tend to like using smaller pens because I think it helps it look more delicate, the lines. So yeah, if anyone has any questions.
Adrian, we have a quick question about paper. So
Yeah.
Is there a particular type of paper that's best for line drawing?
Not really. All you really want is smooth paper. You can really draw on anything, even up to like watercolor paper that's pretty bumpy. You'll just have to be a little bit more patient as you're going over kind of the rougher paper because the watercolor paper, most watercolor paper, you can get smooth watercolor paper. But yeah, any type of smooth paper that lets your pen glide easily across the page is best. This notebook I'm using is, I don't know exactly how to say it. I believe it's from Bacher. And this is just a mixed media pad. And I really like it. I do a lot of my illustrations on here because if I decide to go back in and add watercolor on top, the pages are a little bit thicker to hold that. Let me think of anything else. I also just do illustrations in my bullet journal that has some thicker pages as well. It's kind of just whatever feels good while you're holding your pen, if that makes sense.
There are a couple other questions if you have a second to answer.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned that you had carpal tunnel. Somebody asked if you can describe the way that you hold your hand, wrist, or arm to like help with that.
Yeah, so one way to help with that, if you're holding if you currently have carpal tunnel or have wrist or any type of pain in your arm, I would recommend holding your pen more here in the crook of your hand and then kind of just resting your fingers out to the side. Normally when we write really, we hold a tight grip on our pencil with our fingers, and that kind of exacerbates the problem. It really tires your hand out. But if you kind of hold it right here and squeeze more with your thumb and just rest with your fingers around it, it kind of gives your hand a little bit of a break and you're able to use more of your whole arm rather than just your hand. So that's kind of what got me through the pain that I had in my hands and wrists when I was going through that. But so yeah, good question.
And then the last question, and I'll let you move forward. So Karen is asking, how do you know which method to use for shading?
So what I like to, as a general rule of thumb, stippling is great for like that lighter, the lightest shading that you do. Hatching is the next one, and then cross hatching will be your darkest. So even when you stipple, you don't have to do very many, you don't have to make it as dark as this, right? You could start right here with your stippling and just have it be kind of a lighter stipple. So let me see if I can show you. So when I did this one, this is one of those gardenias that I showed you earlier. So this, there was very heavily stippling in the center of this flower right here. And I used kind of a medium stippling around here. But right here, I used hatching in between all of those different petals with a mixture of stippling. I didn't do any cross hatching on this one because I didn't need more shading. But if I needed to, if I needed a darker shade, then cross hatching will make it darker. So stippling, hatching, and then cross hatching. So wherever your darkest shadow is, you're going to be using your cross hatching like I did for this peony right here, right on the stem. And then I went to regular hatching and then stippling as it's kind of fading out to light. Does that make sense?
That does. Yep.
Awesome. Okay, any other questions?
I think all of the questions that we have right now I can answer. So
okay, awesome. Okay, so let's get started. We'll draw this peony right here. So if you have a regular or blank sheet of paper, go ahead and grab that out. I'll leave this here on the left-hand side for reference so you guys can see what the flower looks like and what we're going to be working on. Okay. So to start off, when we're drawing flowers, we're gonna hold our pencil like this, and we're gonna make those big circles with our hand to get the general shape of the flower. So this peony is kind of coming up here, and it's kind of angling up this way. So it's gonna be more of an oval shape. It's gonna be flatter on this side, and narrow at the top and bottom, and kind of the widest on this right side. So as I'm drawing my flower shape, you're kind of just drawing the regular overall shape of what the head of the flower looks like. Okay, so it's going to be flatter on this side and rounder at the top for those petals. And as you're drawing that shape, don't worry about adding the excess lines because we can erase those later. We're kind of just trying to get that shape by adding those marks around, okay? And now I'm gonna draw the stem. And as I do that, I'm gonna actually start up here because this is where the peony is facing, right? That's the center of that flower where it comes out. So it's facing up this way. And as it comes down, it's gonna come down kind of like this. Okay. So there's our stem. It's going to come up. The trick with drawing, the main thing with drawing florals to remember is that everything comes from the center of the flower, okay? Everything comes, all the lines that come out, all the petals that come out, all the leaves that come out are going to be coming out from this center. So if you look, let me see if I can find, so for this sunflower, everything comes out from this center. Okay, all the petals, if you were to draw lines from all the middle of those petals, everything would come back towards the center. Even this stem right here, right, comes out from the middle. So as we're drawing things, if we're drawing it from a different perspective, all we have to do is find that middle part of the flower. Let's say it's like right there. we can draw everything coming out, all of our petals and all those detail lines coming out from the center. Okay, so this is my general shape of what my flower is going to look like. All right, so now what I like to do is I like to go in and pick one petal that I'm going to start with. Because when we're drawing petals, we're not going to be drawing those circular shapes. We're going to, those circular petals that we all learned to draw in elementary school. We're gonna pick a petal and we're gonna draw the shape that we see. So I'm going to start with this petal right here. You kind of want to start with something that's facing toward you and that has a good, easy shape. So I'm looking at the difficulty of what these shapes are. And this one looks like it'll be pretty easy to start out with because we're starting by that middle shape. And if you see, the tops of this peony has all those lovely little notches and bumps that we all love peonies for. So I'm going to start right here on the left-hand side. And with my pencil, I'm going to come up here and just generally draw the shape of that. And it's going to come down here. I have that big arching curve right there. And the top part is going to come all the way down here. And I don't have to make it perfect right now. This is just a sketch that's going to get all my petals placed where I want them on my flower. So now I'm going to draw this little notch right here that covers up part of this flower. So remember those squiggly lines that we practiced? This comes in really handy when we're drawing the top of these petals because they have all these squiggly lines. So again, this is just an idea of what our petals are going to look like. So this one kind of comes up and down. This is actually two different petals right here, but I'm just going to draw this particular line right here that covers up the bottom part of this petal. Okay? So right now, all we're doing is drawing lines that are going to take place of petals around. Okay. Now I'm going to draw this petal right here that comes up and over into the center. So it's going to cover up the center of the flower a little bit. It's got that arch, that smooth arch in the back. Okay, and then I have one more petal that has a smooth arch right here, and then the tip of the petals right there. Okay, so that's kind of the center of our flower. It's all the lines around the center of this flower. Now I'm going to work on all the surrounding petals that come out. So from this petal, I'm going to draw the top of this line. It's a smooth line, because it's not the tip of that bumpy line, of that bumpy petal. So there's my smooth line. And I'm going to draw the edge of that bumpy, those lines that we practiced, okay? Again, when we're drawing petals, we're looking at the overall shape. I'm looking at these lines right here. And if something overlaps, then I'm just going to stop right here and fill that part in later. Okay. Oh, sorry. Yep. All right, so now as I'm going to these petals right here that I drew the top already, that line. So now I'm just going to extend it. Let's see, where am I at? And draw those interesting curves that gives the petal those characters. That gives the petal character. So now I'm drawing from right here, this little V right here. I draw that V. I'm looking for shapes that I can help like anchor those petals in, that I can use as references to guide. So this petal kind of folds over on itself. So this top line comes and meets down here, but it comes the back side I have to draw underneath right there. Okay. So now I'm going to draw from this side of the V up. And just kind of follow that line. So the reason why I drew this outside shape is because that's where all my petals are going to kind of stay inside that shape. If you don't do that, then you kind of end up getting petals that are like way out here, and then some that are kind of smaller. So if you draw the overall shape, you know the general shape of that, what that flower is going to end up being. So when I'm drawing this one, I'm going to take this one all the way to the edge right here. So I know where to come to when I'm drawing the edges of those petals. Okay, so I'm going to work on this petal right here. I've already got the top part of it. We're kind of coming down here, those squiggly lines. And it curves down like that. So I kind of just take it petal by petal. One of the advantages to drawing from a fake flower is that normally they don't have as many petals as like the real flower. So you can get a chance to just practice on a few. Because if you were to look at a regular peony, they have a lot of petals on that thing. So trying to know what to draw and what petals to pick out can be a little bit daunting. But if you kind of just simplify it, it gets easier. And that's why I like to kind of just pick one petal like I did at the beginning and just focus on drawing what that petal looks like. And then going out from there. So these petals that come around here, they're going to start on close to the edge, and then they all kind of get overlapped. So as I'm drawing these, I'm going to stop right here because I know that this petal right here is going to need to overlap it. And that's going to come down. Okay, I haven't even drawn this petal yet, so I'll go do that. Make that bumpy top part of that. Okay. Another trick that I tell people when they're drawing flowers is don't make the top of these petals all the same, right? So if you look at this top, this line right here is different than this one. If you make them all looking the same, then your flower isn't going to look very realistic. It's all going to look like the same petal. So each one of these tops of these petals has a different line, which is why in the beginning we practiced those little varying lines. And because we're just sketching right now, it's a great way to practice those different notches, and you can always change it up when you go back in later with your ink. You can say, oh, that looks really similar to what I did over here, so I'm going to change it up just a little bit. So it looks just a little bit different. Okay, so that is my general peony. I'm just going to draw this flower right here with the stem. I'm not going to show you this because we're running short on time. So I'll try to show you this general flower. Okay, so now that I have this, I'm going to start drawing these leaves. And remember, everything comes from the stem. So everything's going to come from this, from the center of the flower. As I'm coming out, maybe those leaves are bending in different ways. Maybe they're hiding behind other petals. Maybe it's bending over, so then you draw the front part, and then the back part is hiding. It's just fun to play with different shaped leaves and see what you can come up with. Maybe there's one hiding behind the other one, or overlapping. Okay. Okay, so there's our general flower. I'll wait a couple seconds for people to catch up. Are there any questions while we wait a few seconds?
Yes. So Jennifer asked, she said that her petals are smaller than the circle. How do you keep yours proportionate?
Smaller than this overall circle right here?
Yep.
So this is one of the main reasons why we use pencil to start out with. You can always go back and erase, but as you're drawing those outside petals, just make sure to take it all the way to that circle that we talked. And if it goes over a little bit, that's fine. This is just a general rule of thumb, but you want to really just make sure that that oval shape gets filled out with petals. You can always go back in and erase and try again and just make them a little bit larger. It also just comes with a lot of practice getting the right shape.
Awesome. That's really the only question that we have right now.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'm going to go in, let's use, I have my 03 pen. And so let's use this one to start drawing petals. So I'm going to kind of go in the same order that I drew this in pencil with. I'm going to start right here. And as I'm drawing these, remember, don't focus so much on making your lines straight, just focus on the overall shape. I'm going to come around here and I'm going to make those bumpy lines all the way down, and then I'm going to stop right there because I have these petals right here that are going to overlap. So then I'm going to pick a different petal, maybe like this one right here. And it's always easier to draw the curved outside part of it and then come in and draw those smaller squiggly lines at the front.
Adrian, which size pen are you using right now?
This is the 03.
03.
Mono drawing pen. Okay, I'm going to draw the outside part and draw the inside like that. So for me, it always helps to draw the center of the flower first and then just go outward like that. Okay, and now I'm going to draw this petal right here. It's going to take care of the bottom of both of these petals. So I'm going to start right here and kind of come up. Again, making sure that your top doesn't look, all those lines at the top look fairly different from each other. And if you can see, I'm not exactly following the line that I made from my initial sketch. It's kind of just an idea of where I want to put things. So you don't have to listen to those initial notes that you kind of took. It's just kind of a reference that you give yourself. Okay, so just pick one flower at a time and go through. Making sure that each petal connects to the next. So I have this space right here. So I'm just going to draw that line down to connect it. So it looks like everything's touching. That's something you can do after you've drawn all your petals. To kind of just check your work at the end. Make sure everything's nice and connected. Okay. So now I'm going to go through and I'm going to draw this. I'm looking at what lines still need to be finished and what lines I need to start with. So I had the top of this petal right here. I don't have the bottom yet, so I'm going to draw this petal right here to kind of draw in the bottom part. Again with that V. That comes down. Right there. Okay. And then you can just kind of ink in all of those petals that you sketched out. Okay. Okay, so there's our petals. We'll go back in and add little folds later and little lines in a minute. I'm gonna add one more up here. Okay, so as we're going down to our leaves, same thing. Don't worry about your line being perfectly straight. We kind of want those natural bumps and curves that give us kind of a more natural leaf. And remember, the line we use to guide our stem, we're going to draw that same, use that as our guideline. We're going to kind of come up here and draw our leaves. Here's a trick. If you're looking at a leaf from the side, let's see if I can find a leaf. But, so right here, see how if I turn it, I don't see the full leaf like this, head on, where it's like the full leaf, right? If it's turned, you don't see the full leaf. So you're going to draw this line up here, this top line that connects to the rest of the flower, and then you're going to draw the back of the flower in just that straight line right there. Okay, so the way to do that is you draw your leaf, and then you draw that fold in on the side, just that extra line. Try to make your different leaf shapes different from each other. You get a variety of shapes. Here's another trick for that fold. You just draw that little bump right there. And now our leaf has a fold. Okay, so coming down, we're going to draw this side. This leaf comes up here. I'm just going to draw that left side of that stem or that leaf that's folding up. To keep yourself from drawing kind of the same shaped leaf, let me see if I can get a piece of scratch paper here. Here's a trick to get your leaves doing different things. that I found is kind of helpful. You start out by drawing that center line down the middle, and you draw one side of the leaf, and then you draw the other side of the leaf next. So sometimes we draw the outside of the leaf and it tends to look pretty uniform, right? With that line down the middle. Start by drawing the line down the middle and then drawing different shapes for your leaves, okay? It'll help kind of change up those different, to get different perspective leaves. And just give it a little bit more character. So that's a trick. Start with a line down the middle first instead of at the end. Doing it at the end. Okay, so there's our stem. We did it. Okay, so now what I like to do is when everything's inked in, I go in, if you are certain that your ink is dry, you can go in and you can erase with your eraser. There's nothing worse than smudging what you just worked so hard to put down. So make sure your ink is dry. It's been a minute since we did this top part, so all this should be dry. I'm going to give the bottom part just a few more seconds. But now we can clearly see all those lines we made for our petals. And we can see what still needs to be connected and what areas look good. Yeah, so someone said the thing is to just start and it becomes easier as you go, and that's so true. So the more you do this, the easier it gets. It gets easier. Honestly, it's hard to draw these little bumps. It's easier to draw the perfectly shaped flower, right? Because we've been doing it for all of our lives. That's what we grew up doing. That's how you draw flowers. It's harder to look at the shape of things and get different bumps for each flower. So yeah, the more you do it, the easier it will get. So these two aren't connected. So I'm just gonna go through and I'm just gonna connect all those petals so that they're grounded and they're all touching the flower. Okay. This one right here needs to come down. Okay, so just go through and kind of just fix little areas that we didn't get before. And it should be good. Okay. Well, this is dry down here, so I'm going to go through and erase all those pencil marks. Same thing with this leaf right here. This line isn't connecting, so I'm going to go through and just add little pen marks to help connect everything. Okay, so now if you can see, all of these bumps have little lines coming down from the petals. Excuse me. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add in folds to these petals. And we're going to do that. I'm still going to use the 03 pen, and this is going to just make large. We're going to use the swishing, flicking stroke. And it's going to come down here, and I'm just going to make large folds. And again, everything's going to come back to that middle of the flower. So if my petal's pointing up this way, it would point down because the middle would be down here for it, okay? So if it's angling up this way, it's gonna come back from behind. So just think of where on that petal is it connected to the center, okay? And look for those notches. So right here, where that fold would be, is a good place to add just some swishing lines to add those folds of those peony. Okay. So because this petal comes up and behind, we're looking at it from behind. The lines would go down as it comes down around. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm gonna try and get the main idea from shading these petals. Okay, so we're gonna make big lines like this. And then I'm gonna go in with my smaller pen and do some smaller stippling, some smaller shading around petals. Okay, so just a few. I'm just gonna do a few of those with the large marker. Now I'm gonna go down to my 01. Okay, and now all of these little bumps and squiggles that we did, those are all gonna create shadows and lines that need to have little folds coming down to show that there is a fold in that flower. So like right here, I've got one right there, one right there, one right there. Again, doing those, that's flicking, the flicking stroke. So it's not a solid line. Right here, I've got some. Okay, and make them different lengths, different, you can do long ones next to short ones. And this will kind of bring life to those petals and make it look like it's bumpy. The smaller your pen when you're doing this, the more natural it looks, and it just looks more like a thought or an idea than like actual solid line. So we don't want like solid lines, we just want little. So now that we're doing the top notches, we're going to start in from the bottom. And we're going to go from the bottom of the petal and we're going to come up here and still use bumpy lines. Those bumpy lines help make it look a little bit more natural. This is where you kind of give the shape of the flower. So this is coming around, so I'm going to make my hatching lines curved so that it's showing that the flower petal is coming down and around, okay? This one's coming down. The center is right here, so I'm going to make these lines on this side curve out this way, and then on this side, they're going to curve out the opposite way, okay? It's going to be opposite when I'm drawing the outside. This is going to come in towards the center, and this is going to come in towards the center. Okay, so just think of where that center of the petal is coming out of. And use that as your guide to drawing those shading lines. Flowers that are on top of petals that are on top of other petals are going to be shaded down here. If you want to mix up your different shading techniques, add some dots, that's totally cool. So maybe if you want to kind of just soften up this line a little bit, all you have to do is add a little bit, add some dots right there. That'll make it look like the line's fading out. It's not quite as harsh. Again, mixing up the longer line next to the smaller line. petals coming up and around, so I'm going to make curved lines. All right. If you choose to draw longer lines, you can add more detail to what the petal's curving. Okay, are there any questions on shading? I know it's kind of a lot to take in really fast, but it's kind of just adding those hatched lines. You can add some stippling in here. When we're doing the center of the flower, I'm going to go back to the 03. And if you see, we have these peonies have long middle, I don't even know what they're called. What are they called? Stamens, maybe? Those long lines. So I'm going to start by drawing on this side, just kind of long ovals. And it's all going to come together in the middle. So on this side, I'm going to have ones that are facing that way. And you kind of just start by drawing them from different directions, going in towards the middle, and then you can go back in and fill them all in around. They're kind of all coming in like this. So some are coming in from behind, some are coming in from the front. You kind of keep just adding layers of them. You see, and all come together. And then we'll use some stippling in the middle to darken it in. Kind of like that. So that's there's the middle part of the flower. Okay, so going back to the shading, we have some stipples we can add. Remember, the darkest part is going to have the most stipples, and then we come out from there. Here's the shaded part because the petal's kind of coming out over it. So I'm going to just add a little bit of stippling there. Okay, so just by adding these two little lines, it gives the effect that there's a fold right there in that petal. So this is really where your petal goes from like a 2D object to like a 3D object, which is kind of cool to watch. So this one's coming up and over, so I'm going to make those shading lines come from the back. And this will come face up this way. Okay, and then as we go down the stem and do our leaves, it's the same idea. That center leaf is going to have a line that comes out. All right, this leaf down here is going to, the line's going to come out from the center, and we're going to have lines that kind of curve around. And we're going to give the effect that that leaf is bending and curving. So you have lines that come out from the center, and then I'm also going to do lines that come in towards the center of that line. Kind of like that.
Adrian, can you explain a little bit how you decide where to add the shading lines? A few people are asking, how do you know whether it should go at the top or the bottom?
Of the petals?
Yes.
So I generally do shading lines at each top and bottom of the petals. And it really is around those notches. So if I have a little bump right here, I'm going to add that line in to show that bump. And then anywhere that's on the bottom, so like these petals are supposed to be behind this petal, right? So down here, it's going to be shaded a little bit more because this petal is kind of blocking that. So usually at the base of petals, you're going to have a lot of shading, or in the middle of your flower, or anywhere where it's kind of folding out. Let me see if I can. So in this, for example, for this one, see at the base of all these petals right here, it's the darkest. That's where all the shading happens. So kind of at the base of all the flowers is a general idea. And then anywhere that there's folds, right? So we see a fold right here, just little folds that show the characteristic of the petals. That's where you're gonna have shading as well. So when I have all of these folds, there's going to be some shading down there.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, and then for leaves, when we have our leaves, like for this rose petal, oh, there we go. All the lines are going to come down to this stem right here. So see how all these lines come back to the stem? So they're all going to come out from this center line right here. So I'm going to have a lot of my shading come right here. And then also from these little ridges on the outside. So if I draw my line down here, they're going to come out like that. And to soften up those lines at the ends, I usually like to do a dot or two on a few of them. Just so it's not like a harsh line, it kind of just softens it a little bit. Okay. So yeah. And then going down all through, I'm going to do the middle line with the 03 pen. And then I'll do my shading with the 01. And you're showing where, kind of how that leaf is angling out. This one's coming down this way. Making them different lengths. Again, making them kind of squiggly wiggly because looks more realistic that way. So that's just the center part of it. If I were to do the outside part of it, kind of adds just a little bit more detail. Okay, and now I get that darkest shadow right here down the middle of the leaf. Yeah. Any other questions?
Nope, we're good.
Okay. So if you want to just keep in shading your, I'm sure we're all at different points, but yeah, that's how essentially you do floral illustration. Step by step, look at the overall shape of each of the petals, and then add in shading and hatching, cross-hatching, stippling to kind of bring those petals to life and show kind of where it's folding, where the notches are, where the shadows are. And yeah.
Thank you so much, Adrian. This was awesome. We got lots of messages from people saying how they love the class and what a great instructor you were. So
So
thank
glad.
you so much.
Sorry for all the extra noise. I've got my whole crew home with me, so.
That's okay. Everyone understands. And 4 boys, man.
Thanks so much for coming, guys, and learning how to draw flowers with me. I had a lot of fun.
Thanks, Adrian.
Hey, thanks, guys.